All right, number 5 is a statistics question. So it says the cumulative frequency curve below shows information about time taken by 200 students to solve a mathematical problem. All right, so we're looking at the cumulative curve right there. On this axis, we have the cumulative frequency, and then on the x-axis, we're seeing the time taken in minutes. All right, let us respond to the question. First question says, using the cumulative frequency curve shown above, find and estimate for. All right, so we want to find and estimate for a number of things, right? So we want to find and estimate for the number of students who took more than 50 minutes. Let's read the number of students who took more than 50 minutes to solve the problem, right? So they took more than 50 minutes. So we want to quickly deal with that. More than 50 minutes to solve the problem. All right, here goes. What we're going to do is to go where 50 minutes is on our x-axis. We're looking at it right there, right? And then we're going to carry that line to the curve and then interpret the response to it. Let's go. So here is the 50. I could highlight it for us. This is 50 down there. And we're going to take this line up, all the way up, right there. Right, so that's that. And we want to bring it across to interpret how many students right there. So you take it up, you bring it across, and you interpret the answer over that side. Now, in order to interpret the answer, we definitely have to make an effort to see, because I'm looking at 180 to 200. So I want to have an idea what each of these lines they represent. If I'm counting, what do they represent? So a quick way how you could do that is to look at how many units between these two known spots here. So we're talking about from 200 to actually 180. So this is 20 units. And then we could look how many equal spots or spaces was it divided into. We're seeing it's 5. So if we divide this up by 5, it's telling us that one of those lines will represent 4, right? So basically this is 184, 188, 192, and then this line that I have is 196, right? So you can see that that line right here is 196. But the question says those students who took more than 50 minutes. So what you want to do is to interpret the question the right way, right? More than, so we're talking about the students that goes over. So if you follow these, I go over, you're going to realize that those students that actually go over are the ones that are between 200 and 196. So you want to know how many of them went over there. And the answer is 4. 4 students would have gone over, right? Over the 50 minutes. So going back here, the answer would have been just 4 students that would have gone over. The next thing that we want to solve, we want to find an estimate for the median time to solve the problem. Now, right here, what does the median refers to? The median refers to that middle value, right? Which is the same thing as Q2, which is 50% of your sample. So we're going to be looking at the second quartile and then use that to find that answer, right? So 50%, Q2 is 50% of the sample. Sample is 200, 200, right? Sorry about that. So we're talking about 50% of 200, and we know this is 100 students. We're not going to have 100 as the answer, but we're going to use 100 as the marker to help us to find the answer. So what we're going to do is to take a line, go where 100 is. This is the 100th line. and we take it to the curve right here, right? And we just interpret this, take it down, right? You take it down right there. All right, you take it down right there, right? So I'm seeing it right there. I'm seeing it right there. So another thing now, I need to interpret this scale, right? So on the x-axis, we want to know this scale. So you're seeing that this would have been a 35. But based on the fact that between 30 to 35, I see 5, that means we're counting by 1. This definitely is 33. So the answer is 33 minutes, right? The median time is 33 minutes that we're looking at there. So we want to drop that here, that this is 33 minutes. And that's the median time taken, right? 33 minutes. Let's go to the next question. The next question says the probability that a student chosen at random took at most 28 minutes to solve the problem. At most would mean 28 minutes or less. So we're going to go underneath this one, right? At most 28, probability. But remember now, the key word here is probability, right? Took 28 minutes of less or less. So we're going to go where 28 is. Let's go for the curve. Going back to the curve, we're going to find 28 minutes. So we're going to take 28 minutes, which is 28. Based on the principle, 28 is right here. So we're going to take 28, take it up right there. And then we're going to take it across right here. All right. All right. I'm seeing what I'm seeing. Remember on the y-axis, we just calculated that each one of those lines is 4. So this is 64. So that's 64 students. That's not the answer. We're talking about a probability question. Probability. So the probability is 64 over 200 full marks. Somebody else might cancel this down and say 32 over 100. Another person might say this is actually 16 over 50. Another person might say this is 8 over 25. All of those are correct, including 0.32 or 32%. Any one of those that you had given as your answer would be appropriate and would be okay. Any one of those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 answers would be a probability question. All right. Now, next question, part B says, using the cumulative frequency curve on page 13, complete the table. Now, you notice it says using the cumulative frequency, because this is frequency that we're going to be filling up, but we do have the frequency. But with a cumulative frequency, all we have to do is to find two consecutive cumulative frequency, subtract them to get the final frequency. For example, let us say I call this the cumulative frequency right there, SF. Let me put a little SF here. All right. So I'm just going to introduce a little FS right beside it here. Put some numbers here. So this is my quickly cumulative frequency right here. You normally start off with the same frequency. So your frequency and the cumulative frequency start off with the same number. So in order to get the value here, I need to find the cumulative, because I have the cumulative frequency to start, which is 12. I need to find the cumulative frequency using these. But remember, though, that a cumulative frequency curve, the one that we have there is this shape. It is the less than cumulative frequency curve, and it is done against the upper boundary, which means that we're using numbers like 10.5, 20.5, 30.5, 40.5, 50.5, and 60.5. Those are the numbers that we're going to be using, but I'm not going to use all. The idea that I'm saying is if I find two consecutive cumulative frequency and subtract them, I'll get the frequency right there. So in other words, then I will need to find that the cumulative frequency for 20.5 right here. And then when I subtract whatever number I get, when I subtract 12 from it, it's going to tell me the frequency. All right. So let us go for the cumulative frequency at 12.5, 20.5. So 20.5, I'll take my, I think 20.5 based on the scale is going to be between this, based on what we did the last time. 20.5 coming up in the middle here, right? Somewhere there. All right, right there. All right. And then we could go across with it. Right. So we want to go across with it there. All right. I'm getting 38. Definitely getting 38. This is 38 right there. This is 38. All right. So that's not the frequency. That's the cumulative frequency. So 38. So at 20.5, which is right here, I'm getting the cumulative frequency to be 38, which means that the frequency now is to subtract. So the frequency is to say 38 minus 12, right? So if I have 38 and I take 12 from it, 26 is the frequency that I have. That is the frequency, 26, right? Now I have the other frequencies. So in order to find this one here, I need a cumulative frequency there and a cumulative frequency there, subtract them. So I'm going to find two cumulative frequencies, right? I'm going to use 40.5 to find one here, 50.5 to find one here. And when I subtract it, I get the frequency. 40.5 and 50.5. Let's go for those numbers. Cumulative frequency at 40.5 and 50.5, right? 40.5, 50.5. All right, let's go. 40.5. Let me pull down the curve. All right, 40.5, 50.5. Let's take out our ruler. 40.5 is in the space between 40 and 41. Hold on. All right. It should be okay now. All right, let's go for this right here. Not there. Right there. Right. All right, so 40.5 is actually touching that line. All right. All right. All right, that looked like 164. Let me switch this up. All right, so I'm getting 164 for this. 164. So at 40.5, I'm getting 164. I have to go for 50.5. 50.5. Looks like 96. 196. Yeah, I'm getting 196 for this. All right. All right, so this is 196. 196. So then 196. So let's subtract these. All right, so 196 minus 164. I'm getting 32. All right, so that's going to be a 32 right there. So remember, you find two consecutive cumulative frequency, subtract them. and you get the frequency. So this one was 164, 196. When we subtract them, you get 32 right there, right? So there it is. We have completed that. So what we want to do now is to, as you could see, we want to estimate the average, which is what we call the mean, but we have to complete everything. So we have the FX column to be completed. So we could quickly calculate those. For example, this is the X and this is the F. So the missing ones would have been a 15.5 times 26. And that's 403. And then you're talking the 45.5 times 32. And that's 1456. All right. And then now, remember that when we're finding the average, right, or what we call X bar or the mean, it's the sum of the Fx divided by the sum of the F. All right, so we need to add up those, right? So we're talking about adding up the values in this column right now. All of those values, we want to add them up. All right, so we're talking about 66 plus 403 plus 1071 plus 2982 plus 1456 plus 222, and I'm getting 6,200. So this is equal to 6,200, and there are 200 people, and I am getting 31 minutes. Right? So I'm getting 31 minutes right there as the average time taken. 31 minutes.